How is it going, everyone? Today I wanted to do a quick little build video on how I put this together. It's a Midea Duo, or the Danby version of it, adapter for a sliding glass door here. Functions and features include a hinged mount here, so it folds away pretty nicely. And then I do have a little clamping mechanism there, so it can't really slide out because we are 5 stories up here in downtown Seattle. So kind of grabs the door on both sides and allows us to have air conditioning in this Seattle apartment where we otherwise really couldn't. So if you feel like seeing how this got put together, then stay tuned. I started this build over where so many things start, at the miter saw. It was cheaper to get nearly all the wood I'd need out of a single 2x12x10 as opposed to individual boards. The goal from the beginning was to make something that could fold away during the 9 months a year AC isn't needed in Seattle. Anyway, got going by cutting it down to a couple of equal length pieces, which together are tall enough to reach the nearly 9-foot ceiling. Next, I'm planing them down to 1 inch thick, and you might be thinking, why would I do that? Isn't thicker better for insulation and noise? And you'd be right, but it's also really heavy, especially considering I'm going to be tacking on a number of other things. So I was trying to find some kind of happy medium that balanced insulation, noise reduction, and weight. And in somewhat of a tangent, if you're into any kind of fabrication that involves wood and are on the fence about buying a planer, just do it. I've saved so much time and money with this thing, it's ridiculous. From flattening things that would otherwise take endless sanding to making cheap, crappy wood usable, I think it's paid for itself a few times over at least. Anywho, getting them down to 1 inch and cleaning up a mountain of sawdust created by my wholly ineffective dust collection setup, I started work on the side rails. For these, I just have a single 6-foot 1x8 that I'm making 4 1x2s out of. Again, another example of being able to save money by breaking down bigger stock. Here, I'm using a little 1/2-inch spacer to mark my screw hole locations. The goal is to keep these rails flush with one side of the larger boards in order to facilitate folding. I then went through and center punched them all before continuing on to pre-drill with a countersink bit. And next up was a little glue and screw action. I'm using my jaw horse to hold these pieces upright while I work. I've had this thing for a couple of years, and I definitely don't use it every day, but man, it is a clutch in certain situations, like this one. Now it's time to epoxy fill some big knots. I'm starting by taping the back side. Epoxy doesn't stick to duct tape, so it's usually my go-to when I need to mask off the material. And we're talking some pretty big holes here, ones where you can see daylight clear through them. The epoxy itself is nothing special, some Amazon brand I've had on my shelf for a couple of years. And here it is the next day. All the knots and holes are filled, but it's looking pretty messy. No worries though, as we're headed right back to the planer. Again, if you're on the fence, just buy one. I love my DeWalt 735, which is a pretty common one, but I've seen some cheaper models in the $300 to $400 range that would probably work well too. Seriously, just imagine how long it would take to sand off and level all that epoxy. No, thank you. I'll take a couple of passes under the planer any day. And here's the end result. A few streaks left on the surface because I haven't changed my blades in forever, but those clean up pretty much instantly with some 60 grit on the random orbit. And next, I'll go ahead and cut out the opening for the Midea Duo hose adapter. It's basically an overpriced piece of 3/16 ABS cut to fit. I thought about designing my own in 3D printing, but was already spending way too much time on this project and thought my time was worth more than $40 that it cost to buy it. It did come with a cut template though, so that was nice. Basically just broke out the jigsaw for this. The hole doesn't have to be perfect. It's hidden behind the adapter once it's installed. I tried to take my time here, but wasn't especially concerned with aesthetics. And now back on the planer, I'm thinning out some stock left over from the side rails to make some hinge spacers. Basically, because of those rails being 1/2 of an inch higher than the inner board, I need to raise the hinges to match or the whole thing won't fold properly. Then it's just a matter of gluing and screwing those on. Finally, after everything is mostly together, a quick 100 grit sanding takes care of all the rough edges. And now we're getting into the home stretch with the hinge install, and spoiler alert, this does not go according to plan. I assume this would be like pretty much any other hinge install: line things up, use the centering bit to start the screw hole, and drive the fastener. So I did all that using a rip fence to keep the sides perfectly straight. But even though things looked good laying down, when folding over for the first time, I was aghast to see an alignment failure to the tune of an inch or so. So I ended up pulling the hinges. Alright guys, so I think I've got the problem here. I kind of put these things on top of each other. I pulled those hinges off, obviously, and I got them dead lined up on this end, but then check this out. They're dead lined up on that side, then that little 1/4 inch error shows up on the other end. So one of these two ends is, you know, like, I don't know, a degree or something out of square. So I think in order to correct this and satisfy my OCD, what I need to do is actually line them up lengthwise and then run the miter saw over both of them at the same time, putting them on hopefully the same angle of error or both squaring them up. So I think that should work. Alright, so now I've got them lined up lengthwise, and then you come over here and you see, man, that's off like a 32nd of an inch or something, but I guess over, you know, a 4 foot length, that opens up to like a 1/4 of an inch. So I'm gonna try and square these up on the miter saw. Here I've got everything clamped and tightened as straight as I could manage, and I'm attempting to square up the ends. And with that cut taken, I'm ready to try and reinstall those hinges. Off camera, I drilled and filled the old mounting holes with some dowels, so I first need to cut those off using my oscillating tool. And now, again, clamped on multiple different axes, I'm using some beefier screws to tack on those hinges. And that done, I folded it over again, only to find another problem. I used the wrong screws, and the heads being proud of the hinge plate was causing them to be unable to close. Now I'm just getting frustrated, so I went for broke. Big flathead screws that required enlarging the countersink with a step bit and a centering pre-drill. Alright guys, so what is the result of all that extra work we did by redoing those? Putting straight edge up there, that's looking great. And then if I fold this thing over, ooh, it's still slightly off. Man, this it's better than it was, but that just goes to show that, God, even the slightest fraction of a degree you're off out of square will really kind of present itself over multiple feet distance. It also kind of reminds me why so many cabinets are built with adjustable hinges, which these are certainly not. But at this point, I don't think I'm going to get any better than that, since literally we're off fractions of degrees out of squares, and I really can't do any better than that here. So that's going to be as good as we get. So that issue being set aside, I need to work on the other side of the hinges next. The game plan here is to permanently affix one side of these braces, while the other side will be removable via some thread inserts. Here I'm basically just pre-drilling everything. For the actual installation of the thread inserts, which are shockingly expensive at Home Depot, but very reasonable on Amazon, I always like to set them with some polyurethane glue. Really locks them in there, as this type of adhesive bonds to both the metal inserts and the surrounding wood. And one final thing I need to make here is a retention arm offset. This door, the door this is being made for, is 3 inches thick, while the entire panel assembly is only 1.5, hence the big spacer. I'm using this DAP brand 2-in-1 wood glue and wood filler. Would not recommend. It's kind of like a bad glue mixed with a crappy filler. Too thick to get good squeeze out and too rubbery to sand nicely when dry. Bought it on a whim, wouldn't do it again. And we're almost done here after a quick cleanup of the pre-drilled thread insert area, and we can affix these braces. Like I mentioned before, I'm using thread inserts on one side and then gluing and screwing the other. Then the very last thing I need to do is install the Midea Duo's adapter plate. Nothing fancy here, just center punching the holes and affixing with the included screws. And that's it. Only thing left to do is fold it up, throw it in the back of the truck, and drive it over to its new home.
Yes.
It should go right in there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no! Oh no, it's too tall! It's too tall by like an 1/8 of an inch.
I have one more idea.
Yeah.
Push this outward. This doesn't just stay completely vertical.
But sadly, it's just barely too tall by like an 1/8 of an inch, which meant I had to drive back home, recut the end, and then give her another try.
Is it? Oh, perfect. I can't wait. I just want to come. When can I come? Oh, now I see that mechanism of yours. Okay.
Nice. With that, all we've got left to do is snap on the vertical adapter, roll over the AC, and clip her in place. There you go.